Make room for Javi.
Okay, we're going to move all these over and take care of the rest of the insulation in the first section. Welcome to my Project a Day video, where I explain a project or tell a story each day for a year, and I attempt to complete my shop. This is day 61 of 365, and today's project is ceiling insulation 14 of 44. Today's story is My Carny Buddies. Yesterday, I recounted the worst aspects of being a carnival concessionaire, but that's not the whole of it. I've seen the best and the worst humanity has to offer in the fair world. Here are some examples of some of the best. The first thing that comes to mind are my many conversations with Gerald. He's a true Southern gentleman from Texas who runs the bull riding concession. In Santa's weekdays, when the crowd was non existent, I would sit and chat for hours about our respective lives. Another set of characters that I enjoyed speaking with were the King family, two parents and their son and daughter who ran the splashdown. Now, the splashdown are those machines that you drop quarters in the hopes that your quarter will push down one of those $10 bills that are teetering on the precipice. What most people don't realize is that the game is designed whereas 90% of the dropped coins and money drop on the side back to the dealer. By the time a $10 bill drops off the front edge to the customer, the house has pulled in over $100 in quarters from each machine. Regardless, it's great fun and there are a lot of people that enjoy it or they wouldn't keep sticking money in there. The King family always had an interesting story or two to share. And then there's my buddy Samir. Samir was one of those close friends in the park. He had the soda concession throughout the park as well as the hammer strikes. That's where you try to ring the bell with a giant hammer. Like myself and a few others, he would be there for months early to start setting up. We would have numerous conversations about life, the universe, and everything. While he was a no-nonsense individual, he always treated people with the ultimate respect, no matter their background or social status. He's what I deem to be a righteous and wholesome person. And then there was Ricky, the electrician, and his son, who later took over. They were responsible for making sure all the 50 sub-panels functioned properly, and each vendor was hooked up to their respective breakers. We would chat at times, but he was mostly putting out fires with the electrical system. Mostly figuratively, but every once in a while a literal one. So many memories come to mind at Santa's. For a couple of years, I would stand and chat with the guys that brought the Amish donut concession. I'd always buy 2 donuts each day and sit by the stand attempting to bring in more people. They didn't need much prodding. Those donuts were delicious. And another one of the more interesting friends at the park was Michelangelo and his family known as the Nerveless Knox. Needless to say, it's hot up there. Worst part is I can't wipe my sweat on my sleeve because I've got steel shavings all over it and I don't want to scratch my eyes out. I would try to sit in the stands prior to a number of his death-defying shows to draw in an initial crowd, and I'd never tire of seeing the same show for some reason. We'd have a chat from time to time. The man came from generations of circus folk and had an incredible past with the likes of Barnum and Bailey. His family follows in the tradition. He and his daughter were featured in America's Got Talent. They performed high wire acts, motorcycles in cages, a water ski extravaganza, and perform in monster truck shows, driving monster trucks in the most, again, death-defying ways. There were a lot of fun times each season at Santa's. Some days I would sit with my fellow vendors and chat. Other times I'd enjoy a stroll. In fact, there was one day where I got in my head, for some reason, to do nothing but walk the perimeter of the park from 3 p.m. when I got there until closing at 3 a.m. I was used to walking a lot back then, but this was extreme. My Fitbit logged in 51 miles that day. As I was walking, all my fellow concessionaires would ask me what the hell I was doing at about the 5th lap. The next day, everyone asked me how far I walked as they all witnessed the harebrained event. Needless to say, that next day I sat in front of Mike's Pizza and chatted with Mike the entire night. There was no sneaker activity that day. Between Carlos, my neighbor, and myself, we've tried and failed so many times at Santa's trying to capitalize on our successes. We once set up a dunk it basketball game where there was a giant crowd picture in a stadium and a real hoop was set up about 5 foot high so the picture looked like you actually dunked the ball in a real game. There were the animal pictures involving a choice between a turtle, an alligator, a snake, or a parrot. And there was this Thanksgiving weekend where my buddy Eloy and I were graciously given a spot to try out, at no cost unless we succeeded, to sell engraved woodworking frames and other woodcraft. Santa's crowd is mostly opposite of a state fair crowd in the rest of the country. It was like pulling teeth trying to sell anything normal in there. We'd managed to make a couple of $100 between us. Since that would have been the daily rent, we packed up at the end of what should have been the best weekend and called it done. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story, and I'll share something else tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I enjoy reading them, particularly when they're pleasant. Please subscribe, and as always, have a great day.
Make room for Javi.